We're going to start with just a brief minute of silence, just to put ourselves in the proper frame of experience for this, and yeah, and then we'll look at some interesting text today. Okay. Okay, everybody. So I want to take this opportunity today to talk about something that we all encounter in our Judaism and in our culture, and that's the idea of the soul. I want to talk about what is the soul? What are we referring to? What are we thinking about when we talk about having a soul in Judaism? And I think right off the bat that I'm going to be going through some Kabbalistic texts today. We're going to be reading the Zohar today. So is everybody over 40? Good. So I guess we don't have to worry about that today. But the soul is, what we'll see, is not what we conventionally think of as the soul in our modern Western conventional context. What is the soul? Most of us think about a soul as kind of like this ghost that lives in our body, and that when you die, the ghost leaves your body and then goes to heaven or into the light or whatever it is that we talk about in our framing. The problem with that idea is that it points to something that is partially true in our understanding spiritually, but it doesn't really capture it, and it's kind of reductive, and it's even dangerous from the perspective of spiritual practice. And here's what I mean by that. That if we think that our soul is just our ghost, it's just a see-through version of us that can go into some other dimension, well, that means that we're conflating our soul with our ego. That our ego is this fixed entity that is this individual that is alone in the universe. And even when we die, we just become this individual wispy thing. And nothing really changes except we don't have a body anymore. And that's based on a lot of Christian ideas of the soul. But now we're going to get really Jewish with it and really mystical with it today. And we'll see where that goes. So I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully everybody can see this. So the first text I want to direct our attention to today is this quote from Proverbs. Ner Adonai nishmat Adam, chofesh kol chadrei baten. That the candle of God is the soul of the human being. revealing all his innermost parts. This image of a candle is, or more specifically, a flame on a candle, is actually a central object of meditation in Kabbalistic meditation practices. I mean, there are Kabbalists who would literally, the way we sit and follow the breath, they would sit and stare at a candle. And really, you could do that. I think it's bad for your eyes, but you could do that. And it's the same thing. You're just having an object that you can use to still the mind around. But this is a very important metaphoric image for how we begin to think about the concept of the soul in Judaism. We are a candle. We are this light that is of God. So here we go into some Kabbalistic texts now. This is from the Zohar. So I'm just going to read it, and then there are a couple of texts here, and then I'm going to talk about it. Come and see. Nefesh is the lower animation that is attached to the body, like the light of a flame, where its lower black light is attached to the wick and is not separated from it, and is only repaired in it. And when the black light is repaired and held on to by the wick, it becomes a throne for the upper white light which is upon it, for it dwells upon the black light. And this white light corresponds to the light of Ruach. Okay, so let me give you some translations and some understandings here. We see not one name for the soul already here, but two names for the soul in this text. We have Nefesh and we have Ruach. Nefesh, the etymology of the word Nefesh is actually your neck. And it became eventually associated with body, and then the animated body, a living body, a living organism then is referred to as a nefesh. And the life force, I think, what did they call it in Taoism? They call it your chi energy, right? The life force, that's your nefesh. Or it is the animating principle that makes you a living being and that differentiates you from an inanimate object. That is the nefesh. And then it talks about ruach. Ruach means spirit, translates as spirit. And sometimes we use it in the sense of being spirited, right? You want to have lots of ruach when you daven, right? But ruach also is the name of the next dimension in what we understand as soul. So it is this wider field of being which doesn't necessarily correspond to a body. Okay, please stop me and ask questions if I start talking about stuff that isn't clear. Okay, so in other words, the ruach, the closest way to we can understand the notion of ruach is in all of the inchoate ways in which you have a sense of being in the world, which you don't locate in a body. So you can say theoretically aspects of thought and more directly aspects of felt experience. So our emotional reality, right? The felt sense of being alive, the passions, the anxieties, the angers, the depressions, all of that realm is the realm of ruach, right? So it points to the fact that whatever we are more than just this animated energy within a body. We are also this broader category that doesn't fit into material forms exactly. Okay, and that corresponds, if you're looking at a candle, if you will, the candle is the physical manifestation. It's the wick is the physical manifestation. And then there is what they call it the black light, right? Or it's all. I mean, it's also that bluish light that you see at the very just emerging around the candle. That is the nefesh. So that is the animated object is the nefesh. And then they say that becomes the throne for the bright white light, which is a metaphor for your ruach. right? And sometimes we talk about our emotions in terms of flames, right? You inflame your anger, or the fires of passion, right? So all of those kind of qualities live as your ruach. Let's go on to this section of the Zohar. After the two of them are repaired, the black light and the white light, which is upon it, the white light becomes a throne for the hidden light, which is unseen and unknown, which dwells on the white light. And this corresponds to the light of the neshama. And then it is a complete light, in the way that there are three lights within a flame, one on top of the other. One, black light attached to the wick, which is the lowest of all. Two, white light, which dwells upon the black light. Three, hidden light, which is unknown, that which dwells upon the white light. Thus it is with a person who is complete in everything, who has also three lights, one on top of the other, as described above in the light of the flame, which are nefesh, ruach, neshama. And then this person is called holy, as the verse says, as to the holy and mighty ones that are in the land. Okay, so most significantly about this passage is the idea that those of us who ever put your hand over the flame of a candle and not into the actual visible part, you're going to get burned. And the reason is because the actual flame on the candle doesn't actually end with the visible light. There is an entire other corona of light around that, which is invisible, which you can certainly feel. And in some ways, some say is hotter than the actual light within the lit part of the candle as well. And that corresponds to neshama. That is unseen. You can't place it at all. It transcends the entire system. So in a sense, neshama becomes the part of the soul that fills the field of awareness itself. Right? So in a way, let's bring this now to our meditation practice. Right? There is, when we sit, and in fact, I find that this practice is even more, if I had you in person, I'd be having us do a walking meditation. We'll do that eventually. When you do a walking meditation, you're also taking in the visuals of the world around you. And when you look at the world around you, you see that there are different dimensions of comprehension. There is the reality as it arises around you in your whole field of sense. And there's a moment at which it doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't have any name. It is just what it is. And then in a split second, the mind begins to name it. And then it becomes, a tree, a car, a road, a cloud, right? But before you named it, it was just an undifferentiated reality, right? And then as your mind continues to divide things and make it into an ego, then it's me. I am here in this body walking, and over there is a tree, up there is a cloud, over there is a car, right? So suddenly we have divided the world up, and we are in the realm of the nefesh. And then we tell stories about the world, oh, it's too hot out. Oh, I'm schwitzing. Then your ruach is experiencing all of these waves of your experience. Do you see how this works? That what you are, the soul is not just this ghost in your body. The soul is actually the different levels of awareness that are arising moment to moment. And one is interconnected and interrelated and inconceivable without the other. But one flows into the other in this seamless kind of dance between different levels of awareness. So you are a body, but you are not only a body. You are your thoughts and your emotional experiences, but that certainly doesn't define you. When we sit in our meditation practice, what we're really doing is we are conditioning ourselves to become comfortable inhabiting the position of neshama. Right? Neshama is this broadest category. There's actually even broader categories of soul that I'm not getting into. There are actually 5. It's not just 3. Then there's chaya and yechida, which chaya means life force, and yechida means unity. That's the part where The soul is indistinguishable from the Godhead, from divinity, right? We're not even talking about that today. Actually, we'll get a little bit there later, I think. But we are conditioning ourselves. We are we're arranging our awareness in a way that we are living in the place of neshama, so that we are then aware of the candle wick and nefesh and ruach as does the dance of the flame. So you see how in Kabbalistic terms, it's a very powerful practice to sit in front of a candle flame and meditate on it, because you are literally physically enacting, occupying the position of neshama as you are witnessing the arising of body, heart, mind, which is the flame. And interestingly, it points to Chaya and Yechida, to the highest levels, because when you identify as neshama, that's the part of you that is most closely identified with what we call God, or divinity, or the divine, or what I like to call reality, with all that is, right? The entire universe is arising as your experience in this moment, right? It is that flame. So I'm hoping you're getting this distinction. It's not that you are a flame, right? It's that the flame is a metaphor for awareness. And that you are not, a soul isn't a thing that's just see-through, right? Those are all metaphors for the nature of what is, as it arises moment to moment. Sometimes it manifests as a me, as an ego. But don't confuse that ego with what your soul really is, right? It's just God arising in the world. Okay, Joel, you got a question?
Okay, so in both texts, there was the word in the English translation, repaired. Does that mean integrated, like as if maybe a better spelling would be RE with a hyphen, paired, like the multiple parts are paired?
No, it has the word, I'm looking at it, it's the word mitaknan, which is Aramaic for tikkun. So think about that in terms of repairing, in the sense of no longer seeing them as separate things.
Okay.
Right? We're repairing them in our awareness. We're seeing them not as separate entities that are divided into discrete units, but that these are all aspects of the one.
Okay.
Right? There is one emergent awareness, one emergent consciousness, and it is appearing in space-time as you and as an ego called you right now. But that isn't what you really are. Okay? That's the big joke. That's the big illusion of the world, is that there's a you and you're separate from everything else in the universe. That is totally an illusion. Right? That's the big proposition of mysticism and of Kabbalah. But let's take this down a notch now, and let's just take this into our sitting practice. Okay, so I gave you a lot of high stuff today. So let's just breathe, shall we? Okay, so I invite you to sit in your comfortable position for meditation with me now. And let's take a nice deep breath in and release. Another nice deep breath in and release. Okay. So here we are sitting, just finding this stillness in our bodies. And I'd like us to really follow the order of the Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam, that we are the candle of God. So the wick of the candle is the body itself. Okay, so let's bring our body into our awareness. Okay, so I don't want to do the full body scan. Let's just sort of become aware of the upper quadrant of your body now, if you can. So just bringing our awareness to our head, our cranium, our scalp, our face, meaning all the parts of our face, the muscles, the skin, our jaw, our tongue. And all I ask is just to bring these parts of our bodies into our awareness. Just notice them. If there's not much of a sensation there, then that's okay. But we're just becoming aware. Let's become aware of our necks, this complex array of muscles and spine that holds up the head, and the upper shoulders. You might notice tensions. We tend to hold a lot of tension in these muscles. Noticing our chest and upper back and upper arms. The heart region, the beating of the heart. The rising and falling of the chest. And the movement of the back as we breathe. Moving down now to our belly and our lower back and our forearms, hands. Notice how the belly rises and falls with the breath. How the back supports the body in this effortless effort that the back is always engaged in. Becoming aware of our pelvic region. The experience of the weight of our bodies seated in our chairs. Moving to our upper legs, toward our knees. Now down our calves and shins, our ankles, our feet, our toes, the bottoms of our feet. This beautiful, magnificent miracle that is your body. Just hold that body in the awareness now. This extraordinary organism that is functioning now in the world, a part of the world, connected through the breath and through countless other systems to our environment. And now just notice the aliveness of the body, the subtle energies, the subtle electrical currents of our nervous system, the various fluids that are flowing through the passageways of our bodies. Even if you can't feel it, just become aware of that. In this moment, we're inhabiting our nefesh. We're just paying deep, loving attention to this nefesh, to this body soul that we are. And just as our bodies are deeply interconnected with our environment in every moment, so too that life force, that nefesh, flows in and out of our environment. There is nothing about us that is isolated or alone. We are a part of the arising of everything. The whole cosmos is arising as this nefesh. And feel that interconnection through the breath. Breathing in, we are taking in our sustenance from the oxygen, the atmosphere. And breathing out, we're giving back to our atmosphere. And noticing now, maybe there's a sense of deep appreciation of our bodies as we feel peacefully a part of our inhabiting our physical form. Maybe it's gratitude. Maybe it's wonder. Or maybe we're getting distracted already. Maybe we're feeling restless. Maybe our mind is going off into something else. Notice that whole process of reacting to sensory information that generates feelings, that generates the narrative of I and me. I am feeling myself, my body. I am noticing my breath. All of that, notice that process that is literally emerges as an outgrowth of this nefesh. And then we are in ruach, the realm of the discursive thoughts. And all emotional states are echoes of thoughts. They're the flip side of the coin. Sometimes we feel without knowing what caused the feeling. It's because a thought flitted by so quickly and it's in our unconscious mind. But it is the realm of the mind, of the heart mind. In Judaism, they're not separate. They're two aspects of the same thing, emotion and thought. So the challenge of this meditation right now is see if you can be aware of both dimensions of what is the very embodied physical awareness and the not quite embodied heart-mind awareness. And notice that when we do our meditation, we come back to the breath. We want to stay close to the wick of the candle, right? We don't want to get distracted normally by the functioning of the mind too much. And really what we're doing is we're just bringing ourselves into a wider consciousness that embraces both heart, mind, and body. This is the witness, the stillness, the spaciousness around this whole process of being in the body, being with the breath. Mind does its job and we come back to the breath. There is this still, peaceful awareness of the whole process of body, heart, mind. And when we can take refuge in that peaceful stillness, we are neshama. So the object of this game that we play in this meditation today is if you try to be neshama, you won't ever get there. You can't try to be something. You just have to settle into what you are. And then the simple, peaceful stillness of neshama reveals itself. And that's why we come back to the breath and we ground ourselves in the body and we make a loving space for all of our thoughts and feelings to come and go. Because that way we're creating the conditions for neshama to be present. There's no striving. There's no goal here. Just as a candle just is. It doesn't try to be a candle. It just gives off beautiful light and heat. So we'll take a few minutes now and just explore this flame that is the soul. Kol hanishama Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol hanishama Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol hanishama Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, we have a pause. Does anybody have any questions or reflections or anything you wanted to say about the teaching or meditation or anything?
I got one.
Uh-huh.
I've got one here. Just a thought early, the first part you talked about there, the hidden flame. I don't know if any of you have tried this experiment. If you do, be careful when you do it. But if you light a candle and you keep the match lit and you blow out the candle, there are particles of carbon because of the heat that rise above the candle. And if you're quick enough and you put that match an inch or two above the candle will relight. And I'm wondering if the Kabbalists didn't have that experiment in mind when they talked about the hidden light.
That's so interesting. I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah. Try it, but be careful.
For all you pyromaniacs out there. Yeah, thank you for that. And maybe they did. Maybe they did. So, so we have this system of the soul. I hope what you're beginning to see here is that when we talk about the whole concept of a soul, it's the whole idea is a metaphor. And that's what I want to get across today. It's actually a metaphor for the nature of awareness and the nature of ultimate reality. We're not talking about a literal soul. Okay, it's much harder to hold on to this mystical notion of soul, and I think that that's an important thing that we want to explore. And that's what I want to take us to another level of literally to another level in the second part of the teaching today. So we're back to where I was before, and I want to continue. So here we have this quote from Isaiah. Now, all who are linked to my name, whom I have created, formed, and made for my glory. Just that phrase contains a couple of terms which become the basis for a very powerful Kabbalistic notion of the nature of reality. The first word is lichvodi, that's kavod, meaning the power or glory of God. Barativ, or bara, meaning create. So glory and creation. Yitzartiv, or the word yetzer, like yetzer hara or yitzira, that is to fashion. Af asitiv, asot is to do. So doing, or asiyah, doing, action. So these four concepts of kavod, bria, yitzira, and asiyah. Kavod's name shifts in Kabbalah and it becomes Atzilut, which is the formless, the unnameable glory. And then you have, and I have this graphic here to help us to put it into context. We call it the four worlds. And there are four levels of reality that Kabbalists talk about. And of course, those four levels of reality are signified by the four letters of the Tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God. The Yud is Atzilut, or Kavod, right? Or this Atzilut archetypical. I guess that's okay. I ignore the English on the bottom. I don't know what that's from. I just got this from the internet. Atzilut is the formless, right? Beyond name, beyond form. So archetypical, I suppose, in that sense. Bria comes next. That's creation. Creative in the sense of creation ex nihilo, right? The Big Bang, the universe that comes into being moment to moment. That which gives rise to life, that gesture of reality, that aspect of reality has its own category called Bria. Yitzira, the formation. That is how, once these created elements of the cosmos interact with each other, all phenomena that we know are actually relational. What do I mean by that? It means that the sun shines, and when you look up at the sun, the light of the sun is meeting your eye, and then you're experiencing it as the light of the sun. If there is no eyeball, there is no sun. In other words, there is no, these phenomena only exists in relationship to the observer, right? That's how reality actually works. It's always, you have two sticks that lean against each other and they're standing up. So you have this experience, this phenomenon of standing. You remove a stick and they fall, and the other one falls, right? You need everything in relationship to everything else. So that's Yitzira. And then finally Asiya, which is manifest or action, the realm of action, of doing. So in a sense, Asiya most closely corresponds to our conventional world, where we are bodies that move and talk and walk and act and choose, right? We are manifesting all of these different levels of the upper three levels now in our conventional experience of life. So every breath we take, I've taught the breathing meditation as the name of God, right? We are enacting the four worlds, right? So when there is when you completely breathed out, that spark, right? You're in that nothingness, which is Atzilut, that unnameable. And then there's that spark of life that causes the in-breath. That's Bria. Till you reach the fullness of the breath that gives you life in your body. That's Yitzira. You are in the form. You are inspired. You are fully in your form. Then you breathe out. You are gesturing out in relationship into the world, and that is manifest as the world of action. And so it's, these different typologies of being, in a sense, has a correspondence to these levels of soul. By the way, there is actually a fifth world. I notice how as you get more and more esoteric in Kabbalah, they don't mention it as much because it's very difficult for the layman to understand. So we don't even talk about it in common parlance. So like you go on the internet, you're only going to see the four worlds. There are actually five. And I'll take a second to talk about the fifth world. The fifth world is called Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon. So we know Adam, like a human being. Kadmon means ancient. So literally ancient human being. So what on earth does that mean? What is this? You know what Adam Kadmon is? It's the white space upon which this entire Yud Hey Vav Hey emerges. Right? In other words, I think this is a really cool thing, so I'm going to share it. There is a fascinating coincidence of spiritual teachings, and I love when these coincidences happen. If you go into ancient Vedic literatures of the East of Hinduism, that gave rise to Hinduism and Buddhism and all of those, there is the concept of what we call Atman. Atman it sounds so much like Adam Kadmon, and it's exactly the same thing. Atman, it means literally self. It means the self, capital S. It is the self that is undifferentiated, the self that is all things. In fact, your felt sense of self isn't personal. You just think it's personal. It's actually Adam Kadmon, meaning the supernal, archetypical human being in whose image, right? That is the image of God, right? That we are in the image of. And so the self of the universe that lives, that gives rise to all these four worlds, to all these three levels of soul, actually 5 levels of soul. So isn't it interesting? There are the 5 worlds and the 5 levels of soul. And they are all these different dimensions that we go through. Just to bring this to how everything is holographic, if this is the nature of all reality, it is also the nature of your soul too. So it's a slightly different typology, but it works. Atzilut is the part of you that is unknowable and unnameable. Bria is the thing that gives birth to thought, right? If you're going for that walk down the street, there is this arising, and then suddenly there's, do you ever have that experience when you wake up in the morning or from a very deep sleep and a nap, and you have no idea where you are when you open your eyes, and you have no idea if it's morning or it's night, and you look around the room and you don't even know, there is no word, you can't even describe what is. That's actually, for a split second, you're experiencing ultimate reality. There's no differentiation between anything, right? That's Atzilut. And then there is what we call first generation thought. And that is, oh, it's a ceiling. Oh, I'm lying on a bed. Oh, the sun is up, right? And suddenly we're naming things, right? That's Bria, right? And then into Yitzirah, right? And then Yitzirah is this sense again of, oh, okay, I was taking a nap and I was in a deep sleep. Oh my God, I just missed my appointment. And you start to develop this sort of Yitzirah, this formation of a self. And then Asiyah, you get up and you go to your meeting, right? And so there's that, we're enacting these 4 dimensions of being in all moments. So your soul and the entire cosmos and beyond are the same thing. There's no differentiation between the 2 of them. Can you track this with me here? That when you are sitting here looking at your computer right now, the universe is looking at the computer. The universe is looking at itself. Right? All of the worlds are arising as this flame, right? As this candle, as this arising of being. And it's just dancing in its own light. That is the beautiful conception of what's really going on here. You are not just an ego in a bag of skin. Right? That's not what you are. You are all of this. Look around. All of this is arising as you. Right? And all the stuff that you say is just me versus you, that's the big joke. Right? It's all a big joke. It's a joke that has serious implications. So laugh with it and then take responsibility and do the right thing. But don't forget to laugh, right? So let's take a short meditation now, just to, since I've taught you such esoteric Kabbalistic concepts today, the most important thing, even if all of this is out there for you, the most important thing is to simply be present for this, just this, whatever this is, moment to moment. If you're there, you've got it all. You understand everything that I've just taught. Because what I've just taught is just a model. It's just a way of, it's just symbols that point. to the incredible joy and redemption and gratitude of this breath. Once again, everybody, just take a nice deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in and release. Allow your breath to come to its normal course of in and out. And allow, it's all about allowing, right? As if we actually were in control in the first place, which we're not. So when I say allow the breath to come, what I really mean is just relax into it. The ego has the illusion that it's in control. And this is the safe place where the ego doesn't have to constantly be on that rat race. This is the moment in meditation where we can allow ourselves to be breathed. We can allow our bodies to be what they are in all of their strengths and weaknesses and pleasant and unpleasantness. And as we're breathing, this is the practice of radical open-heartedness, without judging, without reacting, to allow whatever state of mind arises. To notice that everything comes and then goes. It's all temporary. It's all like listening to music or doing a dance. It's just a flow, a series of waves. That at first there is an undifferentiated atzilut, an undifferentiated unity of being arising. Arising as a phenomenon that the mind perceives or thinks or feels, until it finally gives way back to its starting point in the nameless, in the formless. And we bear witness to it all. That bearing witness is that Adam Kadmon, that Atman. That is just so filled with gratitude for the incredible miracle of these beautiful waves of being and form and light, and heat and fire and feeling that come and go with each passing moment. That's the practice. That's what our soul really is. And once that wave has come and gone, there is just the present moment where everything is over and everything is about to be born. And in this present moment of stillness and emptiness, Notice it's not a terrifying place. It's not a void. It is simply all potential for all that is. And as each breath comes and goes, whole worlds are born and pass away. Universes are born and they die out with every breath, with every thought. With every moment we begin, because in every moment it's over. Kol hanishama hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanishama hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanishama hallelujah, hallelujah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining together and creating community around our spiritual practice. Thank you for exploring the nature of the soul, the neshama. And I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.